Welcome to another unit in this course on social network analysis. This time I'm going to talk about which roles specific nodes can take in a network. In this context, we can start with two types of nodes which are more focusing on the transmission across the network. The first part are so-called hubs. And well, usually hubs are institutions, are links, are tools which link a lot of different actors. So therefore makes only sense to say that a hub in a network needs to have a high degree and a high closeness centrality. Needs to be linked to a lot of nodes and needs to be, if possible, directly linked to a lot of nodes. In addition, usually you can see hubs as being the central persons, the central actors in a clique. So they are basically well connected inside the clique, but connect the clique to other parts of the network. So they are basically the gatekeepers to this particular clique. And, well, obviously, in addition to a relatively high degree centrality and a relatively high closeness centrality, they also have a relatively high hub score. And well, aside from the hubs, we also have so-called brokers. Brokers are slightly different. They are also more or less important in the context of transferring knowledge across or transferring anything across a network, but they are not necessarily as important as hubs. So they not necessarily need to have as many connections as a hub. The important thing here is the high betweenness centrality. So they are actually responsible for getting the information, getting whatever from one part of the network to the other part. Usually they also have a relatively high hub value because hub value and betweenness centrality in many cases go hand in hand. And as I said, they're essential for the flow of information or whatever is considered across or through the network. That's the two parts regarding transmission across the network. Then we have two aspects, two roles, which focus more or less on the importance of the nodes in the network. The first thing are so-called local champions. A local champion which has a lot of direct connections. So he has a lot of friends, so to speak. And he plays an important role in his direct network environment. So meaning not only does he have a lot of direct connections, he is also an important player in his direct environment. Meaning he usually has a relatively high authority and a relatively high eigenvalue centrality as well. However, the focus here is on a nearby environment. And that's where the local champion is different from the hidden champion. The hidden champion also has a relatively high closeness centrality and a high degree centrality, but not only himself, but he is also connected with nodes that also have a relatively high closeness and high degree centrality themselves. So whereas the local champion might be the important player in his direct network, the hidden champions are also connected to a lot of other champions, be them local or hidden. So he really has the potential to connect groups by knowing a lot of important people in a lot of groups. Thereby, he can also spread a lot of knowledge relatively quickly. So he, in part, also is responsible for the transmission of knowledge. But here it's more not the direct focus, just he has the potential for this. Thereby, he usually also has a relatively high betweenness. But it's not the main focus here. And as I said, usually high betweenness. And due to the fact that he knows a lot of important other nodes, he will automatically also get a high eigenvalue centrality. So whereas the hubs and the brokers from the slide before both might sport a relatively high betweenness score, the hidden champion, on the other hand, also necessarily has a high eigenvalue centrality, which actually the combination of both of them makes him a hidden champion. Then finally we have the concept of a clique, which I already explained in a different unit. That's basically a subnetwork where all nodes are directly connected. So this part or partial network has a partial density of 1. Everything is connected to each other. Thereby, we have a degree centrality which directly corresponds to number of members in this clique. So let's have a short example, which is here this network, and consider some of the nodes or subparts of this network and assign them roles. Now first off, we have something like the P7. He has the role of a hub. He's the central player, one of the central players, aside from the P8, in this area up here, considering P7 to P10. So he links this group to the rest of this network. He's also well connected in his direct environment. Well, he has 4 of the 14 connections in this network, which is not bad. So it's really well connected, similarly to the P8. The P1 still is an important node, however, more important regarding the transmission of the knowledge. Because every connection to P2 has to go through him. So he's really important to getting the knowledge in the direction of P1. He acts as a gatekeeper for P1. Similar to the P6, but P6, however, is a really central figure in the whole of the network. Because he knows P7, who himself is a local champion. He knows P5, which can also be considered a local champion, because he connects the clique in the lower part, consisting of P3, 4, and 5, with the rest. And he is connected to the broker P1. He himself acts as a broker because he connects the 2 partial networks with the part consisting of P1 and P2. So without him, first off, the network would break apart into 2 parts, and the other remaining larger part, the left side, would only be connected by the link from P3 to P8. So he is really the key figure in this network. However, he only has 3 connections. So yeah, he's also good connected, but not as good as, for example, P7 or P5, but he's really critical to the network. Then, finally, we can also say, I mentioned this before, we have the upper part and lower part, which are actually 2 cliques, because in these groups, every node is connected to every other node. So they have a partial density of 1. Well, that's then everything regarding roles in a network. So I say goodbye and see you next time.